I want to ask you about like the role of the data warehouse in this convergence of adtech and Martech. Talk to us about how companies are transitioning from APIs, kind of like old school APIs is where like I grew up in marketing automation
Yep.
to like bugging developers to, hey, this is the REST API for Marketo. How can we get that hooked up to the product? Talk to us
Mhm.
about how companies are transitioning to like leveraging data sharing. Maybe unpack that for the audience and activation within cloud environments.
This is one of my favorite topics. It's like the gem. It's like the gem for
Nice.
unveiling, and it's like really it's amazing because this is the whole point of cloud infrastructure, right? This is what infrastructure does the best. So if you think about data sharing for your listeners that might not know, it's the ability within Snowflake to actually just expose a view of a table. So you think about you're exposing a view of data, finding controls on what you expose within that view, and then the other party able to query and ask questions of that data. And so if you think about that, right, which can be real time, it's actually never sending a copy of your data, it's just sending a view, right? So you sometimes we explain it a little bit to business users because how I would think about it early days is if you think about like a Google Doc, right? You're able to both share and the data without the data moving. It's kind of a similar concept. And so what's amazing is if you talk to any data engineer in the industry that sits on Snowflake, the last thing they want to do is maintain APIs, right? You can get that data right in a quality view and instantaneously, real time cross cloud, right? Read that data right into your database. Like that's phenomenal. And so what you start to see is really, and I think we're going to get to this later, is like, what does that mean, right? So if you think about the data that can come between you and a partner like Salesforce. So we announce it. So by the way, this is also called zero copy. You'll hear that term a lot. Snowflake
Yep.
doesn't call it that. We call it data sharing. It's the ability for you to instantaneously share data bidirectionally between you and a platform like Salesforce, or between you and the ad logs coming off of something like the trade desk, right? So amazing insights coming in from, your Martech and adtech ecosystem for you to instantaneously starts to find results upon. And
Yes.
so the use cases that come off of that are tremendous. And it's really exciting. Like there's one very large holding company, I can't name their names. They're going out to the market saying, we will only take data now through a data share if possible. And are leveraging their buying power to kind of force that like use case because the amount of time you think about that it also saves, right, from a talent perspective, for your engineers to do really more important work than maintain APIs, it's amazing to watch it.
Yeah, it's super fascinating and exciting times in the data world. I don't know if listeners checked out the deep dive that we did last year on the whole battle between packaged and composable CDPs, but we touched a lot on zero
Yeah.
copy data because it's like one of the cornerstone arguments of why would you go the package route? Because they are essentially recreating a big copy of your data
You know,
warehouse, and you're having this chat with your engineering team and trying to pitch them on having a CDP just for marketing. And they're just like, so you're basically trying to pitch recreating all the work that we just did in Snowflake, just like in a new third party, just so it could be closer to marketing data. So yeah, zero copy data is what I'm a bit more familiar with as the term, but I like the concept of data sharing. Like it's a bit more explainable in the term. But yeah, the Google Doc analogy is making it pretty clear. Like, we talked also about like warehouse native tech, like tech that
Mhm.
sits on top of the
Yeah,
data warehouse, and so it's kind of the same, blending the same terms, right?
that's right. It is. And that's you've talked about it. Like I've heard a lot of your podcasts about this, but you're spot on, right? From the composable perspective. It's if you've done the work to build your marketing foundation in Snowflake, the whole world of applications is now coming to that data. And the whole point is not only from a cost perspective, but a security perspective, right? Like you don't want that data to move.
Mhm.
So how do we collaborate as an ecosystem, right, across our consumer sets, but move the data as little as possible? And that's exactly why I think you see the composability conversation coming in. And again, a platform like Snowflake probably wasn't, years ago. First of all, it wasn't around. Second of all, you had to have the scalability of performance to handle that vast amount of
Right.
data. And the technology's there now, right? And so like that's why you start to see this amazing kind of conversation of like how do you now build applications and bring those applications like Martech and adtech to the data. And so yeah, it's a really and similar right concept of data sharing to your point.
hmm